Hello. I'm just doing a bit of analysis over what we might expect over the next week. And for the GBP, if we start in the top left-hand corner, we've got the weekly, then we've got the daily over this side, then the 4 hour and the 15 minutes. So if we probably just be focusing on the weekly, daily, and 4 hour. No worries, no point looking at the 15 minute if it's we're looking at the big picture stuff. So we do actually have this tick trade, a buy tick trade on the weekly. So if we just take that screenshot and I'll scribble on it. So the price came down, up, down, came down to this point, then it came up to here, then down to here, then up, and then down. So we've got this pattern. Actually, we don't have that last push up. So we've got this pattern, which usually means buy. So that's a nice area to be buying, and that's what we've got over here. So if we just draw that from here up to here, then down, then up, then down, that's the pattern we've got. And so you could expect it to move up. So how aggressive the push up is unknown, but you almost always get a bounce there at least. So yeah, we can definitely expect some sort of push up at this point. Cool, so we've got that. Then on the daily, as confirmation to this, we have very weak pushes down. So it's if you look at something like, or like even this push over here, a nice strong push down. So when the market really wants to move, it can. And the push up was pretty aggressive too. But this push down is, when it does push, it barely breaks the previous low, and then it comes up and barely breaks the previous low again. And then this last one comes down, it wicks below it, but basically can't make a new low there. So it's really, really struggling. It's not showing any signs that the buyers are stepping in yet. So at the moment, it's just a weak downtrend, but no sign of uptrend yet. What I would like to see on the daily is, just take another screenshot and scribble, is the price coming up, probably to that point again, up there, then down and making a higher low, and then up. So that could take a while. It's also very possible, because we're in a tick trade situation on the weekly, that the price just does that. And that wouldn't be weird because we've got this slow push down. There's likely to not be too much resistance if buyers do start stepping in. Yeah, because it shows that the sellers are not all that keen anyway. Cool. And now that we've got the double bottom, it's likely that we're poised to just push up. So yeah, so that's how I'm reading the daily. The 4 hour, just to see if we've got any indication that the buyers are stepping in, we do. So well, we almost do. This is a higher low, but it's unconfirmed. I like to see the price come up to the middle point between the lows. So if it comes down and then up and then down, actually a higher low there. So down, up, down. We don't know if this is going to do this, up, down, and then it's just carrying on down, or if it's going to do this. And if it comes up and touches that point, that tells me that it's very likely that it's going to carry on up. It may bounce off that still, but it's unlikely that it's going to bounce off more than it did last time, because the last time it touched that point, we got that much movement. And so if we hit that point again, it's unlikely that more people are going to get excited about selling there. So we've, yeah, if we do get a bounce, it's likely to stay within this bracket here. So yeah, very likely to get some sort of bounce and then move up. So if you have your stop loss just below that point, then you should be pretty safe. And I really like that as a trade entry. It's not normally the best place to get in because you do get a bounce off, but it does very, very often do a smaller bounce and then move on up. And if you just get in at that point, then if it doesn't do any bounce, it just moves straight up, then you're in. So yeah, I like just buying at that point, although it's a point of support and resistance, which tells you it should bounce off. It's way more likely to move through that one. So yeah, so we haven't got that on the 4 hour yet, but we're almost there. I'll just get rid of all of that. So yeah, so if it comes up to this point here, then that would be confirmed. So I will, based on all the other information, I'm very likely just to have a buy entry at that point. And if the price comes up and touches that, I'll get in there. And again, we're very likely to get a bit of a bounce down. So stop loss, because these two lows are very close together, I would just have my stop loss just below the lowest point. And yeah, so if the price does wiggle around, that's fine. And then hopefully move on up. So that's how I'm going to trade the 4 hour, or trade all of this. But yeah, that's where I'd get my entry. And if the price doesn't come up to meet that point, then that's fine. If it just moves on down, we're not in the trade. So that's should be the first point that we've got confirmation that it is actually turning. So if it comes up and that's how I would read that. And yeah, 15-minute, too zoomed in at this point. So we haven't got there's no point in reading that because yeah, we're still just currently in the weak push down. So yeah, that's the GBP. If we just jump over to the Euro USD. So we've got the price pushing down, and it's really struggling to go further. 3 weeks ago, we got the price hitting this point. The next week, the price couldn't go any further, and then the last week we've just had couldn't go any further again. So we've got three weeks not being able to push down, but for no real reason. Like there's no nice support line there, or it's not a tick trade or anything. It's just nothing. It just doesn't want to go much further. So yeah, so we've got that. On the daily, we do have lower highs. I'll just put an EUR in that. Lower highs. So we've got lower highs, but yeah, the struggle point, which we're seeing on the weekly, the support and resistance line. So ideally, we would get a higher low before the price moves up. So if the price, if the price does push down again, and then make the higher low and then push up, that would be ideal. Yeah, so it's technically the daily is still saying it's very seller controlled at the moment. The buyers are putting their stamp at that point, but usually when you see this pattern, it pushes through. So this is actually a bearish pattern. So yeah, hopefully we get the price pushing up through this high. And well, actually, technically that isn't a high because the price just came down to here and started pushing up. If it comes back down to this point, then that's a high. So at the moment, really, that's the high. Because if the price just comes up, then no problem at all. And actually, what I'd say is most likely in this situation is the price would come up and hit that, then come down and make a lower high, and then, sorry, a higher low, then come up to this point, and that's where I would be getting into a trade and seeing the price move up. The one thing that does worry me a little bit about a long-term buy here is this zone here. So the price came down through, and actually you can see this quite nicely on the weekly. It's small, but the price came up, then down, then up, then down. So that tells me that this zone here is actually quite a scary support and resistance line. Like it doesn't look that intimidating, just a tiny little wiggle, but it's really likely to hit that and bounce off it. Yeah, you see it a lot. So yeah, that's definitely something to be wary of, that zone there. Yeah, so hopefully, yeah. What's actually what we're also getting is the daily, which is offering a support zone in the exact same manner to the buy side. So if the price does come up, like this line here, let's just say the price, just get rid of that. If the price comes up to here, bounces off it, gives us a higher low, and then moves up to this point, it's very likely to bounce off, come back down to here, and then carry on up. So bounce between these two zones. But because this one is the most recent, I would say it's more likely to push through. So yeah, just based on normal stats, like the most recent turn, and obviously the sellers are showing that they're really struggling here. So yeah, that's likely what we'll sort of see, that sort of thing. Yeah, so yeah, that's just something to be aware of. Then on the 4 hour, so if we are looking for a buy, which I think it's a bit premature, but if the 4 hour is actually showing a higher low, and it is confirmed, it has come up to that same point between the two lows again. So this last push up met that point. So again, we're very likely to get a bounce off, which we did with this. The previous 4 hours was a red candle, so it was pushing down, which is to be expected, but it's unlikely to push down further than it did on the previous push at that point. So yeah, it's likely to stay within this zone, then move up, and then carry on up, just based on that little picture there. So yeah, it's there's quite a lot of conflicting information. Well, a little bit at least. So it's not all screaming buys, and it's definitely not screaming sells to me. It's all a bit messy. There will definitely be buyers and sellers jumping in. Reasons for buyers and sellers to jump in on this, which I like to enter trades where one side has got no reason to be trading, because you always get some people just placing trades that don't really make sense well, at least to me. But as long as the majority of people are on your side, then the price should be moving in the direction you expect. So yeah, euro is less attractive. It's at least at this stage, it hasn't given us a nice confirmation that it is actually going to be turning up, and it's certainly not showing signs that it's wanting to explode down. It's it may, but it's really only the daily that's showing that at this stage. So yeah, so that's that. Hopefully that helps. Awesome. Have a great weekend.